What's going on, faithful? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Please remember to like and subscribe to the channel. It definitely helps grow and allows me to bring you more content. Today, I want to talk about Ji'ayir Brown. This is a guy who we drafted and is the first guy we drafted, actually, first guy off the board, and drafted him basically to play free safety and replace Jimmy Ward. But I think he's a guy who we can actually start right away, even if it's not at free safety. um, I'm not. Keep in mind, I'm not trying to make any comparisons here with a legend from the past, but just in terms of position, keep in mind, way back when, even like Ronnie Lott played cornerback and then went to safety and things of that nature. So it's not unheard of to have a young guy come in and play corner or even slot corner, which is what Jimmy Ward did, and then eventually went to free safety. So I just wanted to bring that up just to kind of have an idea about the positionality of having a young guy come in that's so good, that's playing so well that you kind of have to find a spot for him. And to me, what I see from Ji'ayir Brown, other than the reports we hear from OTAs that, this guy's picking off passes, he's just doing a tremendous job overall, is that he's just a guy that has a knack for the ball. And he's a guy that he's had 10 interceptions the last 2 seasons, or he had 10 interceptions the last 2 seasons while at Penn State. He had a really good Rose Bowl game. And just to me, he's a guy who knows where to be. He's not the fastest guy, very similar to Hufanga in that way, where he probably runs in the high 4.5s, maybe mid 4.5s at best, but he's a guy that knows how to make up ground because of his study habits, because of the tendencies of the offense. And so he knows where to be because he's always prepared. And so I do think eventually he will be the free safety, probably taking over for Gibson. So that way he plays that role, because as we know, Gibson re-signed for another season, had a really good season last year, just getting lots of turnovers and really limiting what guys did to get over the top. Again, I do think that there does need to be an upgrade there overall. I mean, you're talking about a guy occupying that position that is well into his 30s, and someone who maybe against teams that are more pass happy, maybe against teams like the Chiefs and other teams, maybe the Bengals as well, or the Bills, which aren't really three AFC teams that you don't think you're going to see until the Super Bowl. I believe we play. I'm not sure if we play one of those. We might play Buffalo, and I got to look back at the schedule, but we may play one of those teams again. We typically play Cincinnati, so that's one team that I think we've held up pretty well against, just overall. But I do think that will be an upgrade that will be made, and it'll be Ji'ayir Brown to start. I just think, though, you got to find a spot for him. I think he's that good. So I think what he's really going to be doing is he's going to be taking over Emmanuel Mosley's spot, who right now is occupied by Demo Lenore. Now, remember, when Demo was drafted in the 5th round out of Oregon, he was drafted to be a slot guy, or at least that's kind of what he projected at, as more of a slot guy. And he played really well on the outside. I have no issues with the growth that he showed last season, and I have no doubts that he can continue to improve. And he said as much, that he wants that bullseye to be on him. He wants them to pick on him, so he wants to make teams pay. And I love that attitude. Definitely love that attitude. But my thing is Ji'ayir does need to get in there, because I just think the talent is too much. Even as a young guy, if he's prepared, he's ready to go, and he studies up his opponents the way he did in college, I have no doubts that this guy definitely should be on the team, not only on the 53, but he needs to be starting week 1 against the Steelers. So I think what the 49ers could do, and I don't know, this hasn't been talked about at all. No one's really reported it, at least that I've seen, looked at 49ers Twitter just to see if anyone has mentioned this, just talking about the defense and how the roster projects and who might be starters. Maybe I'm kind of putting the what is it, putting the cart before the horses here, but jumping the gun a bit. I got a bunch more things I can just what the euphemisms that I can throw out at you guys. But basically, I'm a little bit ahead of it in terms of just thinking about what the 53 man will look like. But really, I just want to look at just Ji'ayir in terms of his talent and what he's going to do, I believe, in training camp and in preseason, and just what he's going to continue to do in practice, right? And continuing to show that he belongs as a starter. He belongs with the ones. So what I could see is you're going to have Charvarius Ward on one side. That much we know. And then on the other side, I think you could put Ji'ayir Brown as a corner on the outside with Demo being the inside guy. And then, if you're in four receiver sets, you're more of in a dime type coverage, what have you, multiple receivers. That's when you can then bring on a guy like Womack and some of the other guys that can battle it out for that other slot corner. But I think, like I said, because Demo is a bit smaller and is a guy who was projected, I think, more in the slot than he was on the outside, I could see that being a pretty smooth transition for him back inside. And really, like I said, Emmanuel Mosley was a guy who I really liked. And he was a guy who I think he was more that 5'11, 5'11 and a half frame. And so he projected a little bit better against bigger receivers on the outside. And that's what I think Ji'ayir Brown does just to start. I do think maybe by year two, he becomes your full-time free safety. I just think he's got too much vision. He's got too much of the tools that you'd like to see from a free safety other than that elite top-end speed. But he does have enough tools to make that transition. But in his first season, I fully expect him to be a guy that competes and pushes hard to move Demo to the inside and then being that outside corner opposite of Charvarius Ward. So I just wanted to touch on that. Please give me your thoughts. Really appreciate you guys chiming in and continuing the conversation in the comments section. Again, make sure you like and subscribe, and you can follow me on Twitter as well at GG Podcast 49. So thank you so much as always, Faithful. See you next time.